Welcome back, Bravehearts, to the Docofdetox Show. I'm Dr. Darrell Wolfe, your host and guide to creating the perfect strategy for the life that you deserve. That's right. You heard what I said, the life you deserve, right? You know, when I was younger, I was told that I can have anything I want. But guess what? If you take a look at the information that's provided to you by the so-called specialists, by the so-called authority out there, you're not going to get what you deserve. You're not going to get what you want. You're going to get what they want to give you. But this ends now. Okay, the Docofdetox Show is a show that we actually are going to be teaching you everything about your body so that, guess what? You don't want to be a patient. You want to be the practitioner. You want to be the one that looks after you so that you can look after your family. And that's what this show is all about. But today's show, okay, is about IGF-1. And I'm with the famous, okay, Dr. Bruce Fong. And we're going to be talking about IGF-1 today and how you may not have heard of it and go, well, I've never heard of that. I mean, why would I even want to take IGF-1? Well, there's a lot of reasons. And today I'm going to be asking Dr. Fong some questions about IGF-1. And just so you know that you used to make IGF-1 when you were full of fun. Did you know that? You used to make IGF-1 because you had a lot of human growth hormone that would go into your liver, be transferred into IGF-1, and you had all that extra energy so that you could go out and play, and then you could bounce back right back into living again. Okay? Let's not plan to have fun next Friday night. Okay? Let's plan to have fun all the time, and you can't do that without energy. Energy is what heals you. Take a look at everybody that you know. Especially those that are sick, those that have illnesses. They can't even get out of bed, can they? They can't even move. And remember something, if you can't move and you can't get out of bed and you've got an illness, you're not going to get well. So we need to get energy into the body because it's all about energy. The human body, okay, is made out of 50 trillion cells to 70 trillion cells. Those cells are little batteries. Now, if you don't recharge up those batteries, then you're not going to heal properly or even stay there. And the reality is what most people don't understand is this. Every disease in the human body is called mitochondrial damage. That's right. Every neurological disease, all the way up to cancer, all right? Diabetes, it's all dysfunctional mitochondria because they create the energy. So how are you going to repair these mitochondria power plants? Well, we're going to talk about that today, and we're going to talk about a lot of other things as well. Now, let's talk about Dr. Fong. Dr. Fong graduated from the Western University Health Science College of Osteopathic Medicine of the Pacific in 1997. He works in Reno, Nevada, and specializes in family medicine, holistic medicine, and internal medicine. Dr. Fong is affiliated with St. Mary's Reno Regional Medical Center. So, welcome to the show, Dr. Fong. How are you? Absolutely, sir. Can we have Dr. Fong's audio turned up? So how are you doing, and how is the city that you live in?
Well, Reno's been great. We a little overcast today, but you know, it's mostly springtime. But you know, Reno is in the sort of nestled at the foothills of the Sierra Mountains, so we always get these interesting times where we start to warm up. And there's this old thing about a mountain that's near us called Peavine. If you see snow on there, don't go planting because it probably isn't ready to do so. So we still see snow up there. So you know, we're just trying to get into spring, so to speak.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. So let's start off. I've got some questions here. So let's start off with the first one. Dr. Fong, can you tell our listeners, okay, what the Docofdetox IGF-1 is, okay? So I think we need to establish that before we get going with our show, right?
Right.
Okay.
So just easily to say, this is a deer antler velvet extract. And deer antler velvet is basically where most people may or may not know, deer lose their antlers every year. And in about 110 days in the springtime, they actually grow an entirely new rack of antlers. And during that growth phase, there's a lot of these various growth factors that are in the developing antler, because the antler is still growing. The inside is a growth matrix that's kind of gelatinous. It's mostly collagen, and it actually is very mushy, basically. And if you ever take one off before the antler has fully become almost bone-like or horn-like, you'll find that dries out, becomes shiny and sticky. It's what most people call a velvet. And so the product that we're talking about actually harvests this growth matrix, which includes, in particular, IGF-1, but includes a whole lot of other growth factors that actually is part of this, God-made growth matrix that allows for balanced and healthy growth. And we usually, what happens is you tranquilize the deer at about midway through the growth cycle, about 55 days or so. And then you actually take the antlers from them, and that the only thing they may wake up with is a little bit of a headache in case anybody's worried about the deer, but otherwise they just don't have their antlers. Then the inside of the antler is still this gelatinous mushy stuff, and you can simply extract that.
So the deer are not injured. They're not injured. They're not harmed at all, right?
Yeah, they get tranquilized and they wake up basically without the antlers. So if they, deer like to butt each other with their antlers. So if they forget they have antlers, they might butt their heads. But other than that, I don't think that any other harm comes to the deer. Absolutely not. So,
okay, now on your camera, I don't know if you need to pull back, but you might be a little close because it's cutting off your head. I don't know why, but do you see what I'm talking about? Okay, I think that might be better. No,
you want me to,
it keeps
I can actually just do this. I'll just turn off my background here so we can I'll just blur me out like that. How's that look?
That's better. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So long story short is that, again, once we've extracted the velvet from the antler, the process is to cold press it, just like you do olive oil. And then you create this cloudy brown liquid, which has all these different growth factors. The main one being IGF-1, which is the main thing that's made by the body through the liver when in the presence of human growth hormone. But there's a whole slew of different growth factors that are actually in this growth matrix. It's a biologic system that you're actually getting into your body.
So our bodies look at the IGF-1 that we actually make from the deer velvet. It actually recognizes it as if our bodies made it. It's very close in matching up. So we're not playing around with the chemistry of the body. We're just replacing something that we used to have when we were in our 20s, maybe early 30s, and now we're replacing it and turning the body back on and turning these youthful functions back on. Is that correct?
Absolutely. This is a completely natural and, again, intact growth system. There are growth factors that help to grow specific tissues. There's a general growth factor like the IGF-1 and the IGF-2. There are some other growth factors that actually control and moderate the growth so that you don't get out of control growth. So this, again, being a Christian, I would tell you this is a God-made and perfect system that we can put in our bodies that's 100% compatible with us.
Can you explain to our audience what does the growth matrix contain? Like, I know different growth factors, but can you break it down more, or is that about as deep as we're going to go?
Well, we can definitely say that the main thing, of course, is always IGF-1. IGF-1 is the main thing, also known as somatometin, which comes from the presence of, normally in our bodies, from the presence of growth hormone. And as you alluded to earlier, as we get older, we start losing the amount of growth hormone. So the body is not stimulated to produce IGF-1 or somatometin, which is the primary growth factor for a lot of things to maintain the health, the integrity of tissues, really to keep us healthy. There's IGF-2, which has similar effects. There's bone growth factors. There's factors to help to grow blood vessels. There are factors to push for connective tissues. There's factors that help grow neurologic tissues. So there's an entire slew of a lot of different types of growth factors that are in there that are designed to not only help to repair damage, but also to maintain the optimal integrity of the various tissues throughout the whole body.
So we're talking the tissues and the cells, and we're talking basically what we're doing is you could have like a 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old body, and we're actually taking you back in time, okay, when you actually made the IGF-1, where you had the energy, where life was more fun-filled, because we need energy to have fun, correct? We need energy to enjoy our work, to enjoy everything about life. We need energy, end of story.
Absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, IGF-1 is probably one of the central control factors for a lot of other things in the body. It stimulates, obviously, like we said, growth and repair, but it also helps modulate a lot of other things. And by modulating all these other things, we're seeing the ability for the body to function in its more normal, homeostatic, or balanced state. So, of course, you're going to have more energy, you're going to have more stamina, you're going to have increased strength, and your ability for your metabolism to work that much better. It all translates into externally. The main symptom is, yes, or not symptom, I'm sorry, the main benefit is that you have more energy and you can really enjoy your life a lot more.
Bone growth, muscle growth, mitochondrial repair, immune enhancement, okay? So everything that we had when we were younger and we thought we were going to live forever because we could go out and actually have a devastating night of party and actually be revived by noon the next day instead of waiting 4 days. And I'm not telling you're taking this product to go and do that, everyone. I'm trying to tell you that it helps to go back in and kick in the things that really matter, and that is being alert and alive, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I won't recount how long ago those days were for me, but at one point when I was going to college, I was carrying like, I think 15 to 18 units. I was working at my parents' clinic where I learned my integrative medicine, but I also, for fun, besides studying and working out, I worked at a nightclub, and I was everything from a doorman to a bartender, and yet I get 3 hours of sleep and I do it all over again. I found that after I got through medical school, I wasn't going to be able to do that anymore. And I was about 32 at the time. I actually started using this product myself back in the early 2000s. And at that point, I'm about, I've just started practice, and I did feel, boy, I didn't feel like I was myself anymore. And taking this product turned me around like you wouldn't believe. I was able to not only have energy, I could work out again. I could actually feel like my brain would be clearer, so I could actually give my all to my patients. And I really attest that and give grateful thanks that I did find this product.
Absolutely. So first of all, if I can say this to everyone out there, the Docofdetox IGF-1, whether you're talking about the 25,000 or the 300,000, they both are made from the same product. One is a little bit more concentrated. We're already getting questions coming in here. And also, if I can say this, the deer antlers grow 1 inch per day, don't they? Approximately 1 inch per day, correct? So
Yes.
So people are asking, do the deer antlers grow back?
It's usually seasonal. Like I said, deer have a full rack of antlers, and then they usually lose them sometime in the early winter or late fall, and then they grow a whole brand new rack in the spring. And that has to do with hormonal responses to the exterior environment. But the only way that you could grow something so quickly is to have its own intact growth matrix, like we talked about. And one of the main things out of that is the IGF-1 itself.
Yes, and everybody, if you want, you can send your messages in, and when we're done, when I'm done asking the questions, we'll go back and we'll review the messages, so just so everybody knows, right? Dr. Fong, how long has IGF-1 been known as one of the body's greatest products for whole body restoration?
Well, a very good friend of mine, Mr. Rick Lentini, has had research and has been utilizing this product, or producing, I should say, this product for better than 3 decades. I mean, it's
30 years. That's a long time, everyone. And there are no harmful side effects of taking this product, is there?
We have never ever seen any harmful side effects. Not with,
or even the word negative. There's no negative from taking this product.
I have not seen anything, and I've used it in a lot of my patients. I've never seen anything but positive outcomes from it.
Right. Okay. So, Dr. Fong, can you tell us? So, we have two different products. One is the IGF 25,000, and the other one is the IGF 300,000. Can you just tell us what the difference is and what each would be kind of used for in a general way?
Okay, yeah, that really the amount is the 25,000 nanograms. That's is an amount that's actually based more for really everyday living. So you just want to recover some of that youthful vigor, if you will. You want to recover some of that energy, if you will. That's the one you really should look at. And that's available in the spray form. We could talk about the delivery systems later, but the whole point is it should go under your tongue. It goes into your bloodstream so that these growth factors go right in the bloodstream, because they don't last very long in the body. Once they get in there, they want to get to work, and they go to where they're supposed to go. Again, the 300,000 is actually meant more for people who are heavily working out, being very athletic, extremely active. They're trying to build their bodies, give themselves that edge and performance, and be able to achieve their fitness and or athletic goals. So it's just really a matter of how much you want to put in the system. But again, there's never been any
Negative effects.
evidence of overdoing it. So you can definitely go, but usually the 25 is more 25,000 is really more for helping people to get back what they want, and the higher the other doses, such as the 300,000, is one that is meant for the athletic prowess.
Okay, so I won't tell you that I'm Mr. Athlete or anything like that, but I can tell you that I live a high energetic life. So I do the 300,000, and I'm not telling anybody else to do it, but I do the 300,000. And when I say this, everyone, don't think that, it's about a AAA personality, but, just 7 months ago, we opened up the World Healing and Training Center, and, people come here and says, look like you've been here for years. The reality is, this is not a stimulant, okay? It's not a drug. Okay, and I always had energy, because if you have a positive attitude, you're going to have energy. But the reality is when I started taking it, I did the 25,000, and yeah, it did. It made me feel good. But when I did the 300,000, okay, I really felt more alert. And the reality is I get up around 5:30 in the morning. I get to work around 7, and people can see the content I do and all the writing I do. And then at the end of the day, I usually like to finish my day with an hour swim, right? And then we'll actually bike to the ocean, and then we'll do that. So that's it. And so if I'm taking the 300,000, then it's not called overdoing it. It's called, if I'm utilizing the energy. I mean, if you're somebody who doesn't have an active life and you just want to maintain things, it would be the 25,000. But if you're somebody who has a very active life, and yeah, I don't know, every day for me is meant for living. So I'm not wrong by doing that when I feel good about it, and but I've had people actually take the product, Dr. Fong, like a friend of mine said, I started taking and this was my answer, and tell me if I was wrong. He said, I started taking the 300, and then I was taking the 14 drops 3 times a day, and I had lots of energy. And he said, but then I felt like I was getting kind of depressed. And I said, well, I bet you it was because he has a lot of stress in his life right now, a lot. And I said, I bet you the IGF-1 was trying to bring you back into balance. And like people that are really stressed out, as soon as they start eating right and slowing down, the body says, get to bed, or you're going to sleep for 10 hours, not 7 hours today. And I said it was probably because it was trying to bring you back into balance. So maybe if you would have just did the 25,000 or did less of the 300,000, so that you know how you pull the tree over and you tie it down, then you let it go and it whips back? What do you think?
That's absolutely correct, Daryl, because even in my patients, and I see a lot of chronic patients with chronic Lyme disease and other degenerative diseases, I always start them a little slower to see how their body responds, because these people have been sick for a long time, and you want to let their body re-achieve that homeostasis. And being Chinese by descent, we have that yin yang, of course, which means the balance of the two forces. And even in every single case that I see, it's always about a balance, because not every patient fits a cookie cutter mold, which is what unfortunately modern medicine keeps trying to push, is that everybody fits into a mold, which is just ridiculous. Everybody has to be sort of massaged into how these things work. And I absolutely agree with you. I think that in this particular gentleman that you were talking about, who jumped right into the maximal dose, that was probably a little too much for him. He needed to kind of ease into it, because just like you said, things will reset in the body. The IGF-1 is a primary motivator. It sets into motion all kinds of other reparative of effects, whether they're directly, like we talked about, direct tissue repair, or helping to grow those tissues back. It helps with detox, obviously, but it helps to modulate the immune process. But then as a secondary effect, everything starts to reset and push itself back to that happy medium where we started from, where we're supposed to.
Alignment. It helps to bring you back into actual alignment. And what I've noticed since we've been we've been selling a lot of IGF-1, and what I've noticed, because we like to track our patients, is that people with a slower metabolism could graduate higher into the product quicker. People that had more of nervous energy, people that were more anxiety driven, we have to start slower with them. So people that are running a fast metabolism, not because it's a healthy one, but because it's they've got monkey mind, let's say. And then people that had a slower metabolism, we were able to graduate quicker. So, I told this friend of mine, I said, look, just go back and start off with just 4 drops. And then start graduating. You graduate yourself up, and then find that happy medium that says, you know what? I just feel good. I just feel happy. So like you said, we cannot put health into a cookie cutter, because everybody's got a different personality. And your personality creates your reality. The way we react, the way our metabolism, everything about our lives. You know what I mean? Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I can't agree more. I mean, our whole medical center is built around that premise that, each individual, their individual nuances, everything from when I first take their history to their workups to their treatments, it's all about how it is for them. It's not about, just 80% of the people, which is basically what all the studies will tell you, is it's only ever good for 80% of the population. If you're 1 in 5 people, some studies will never really apply to you. And the whole point is that when I look at patients that way, because of what I do, we're not necessarily primary care, but the point is that people come to me because they're not satisfied with how other folks have taken care of them. And when they come to us, we give them that extra time. We spend the extra time with them. We really get into the nuances of their individuality, of the nuances of the different things they've experienced, things that they've been exposed to, how their body handles it. And again, getting back to the IGF-1 product, that is a central driver of achieving that balance, like you said, to allow the body to be in that perfect homeostasis, so that it can repair things, so that it can detox properly, and ultimately bring that person back to the health that they're looking for.
Yeah, and we're finding it in so many different situations, right from autoimmune diseases that people come to us with, to people that can't gain weight, to people that can't lose weight, to people that say they can't sleep at night. So it's funny, but it's like from A to Z, and like you said, it's just called realignment, right? It's just realigning and getting everything to work in a synergistic way, right? Okay?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
So can you tell us the different age groups that would be using, let's say, the IGF 25,000 and the IGF 300,000?
Typically, I would probably say various age groups, honestly, on the most part, the lower 25,000, you could start on anybody, but certainly people who are more active, who Also, I'll add the term more stressed in their life, whether that stress is physical or mental, emotional, or even spiritual. They eventually kind of try to move forward with an additional higher dose. But the 25,000 can be from just about anybody who just wants to rebuild their original stamina and energy back. But typically, like you said, I would probably see people in their 40s and up start with that. Maybe even some people, if they're in a really stressful situation, in their 30s. I mean, this can be utilized for just about anybody. Um, I would even put it out there that, hey, you're stressed taking your college finals. Grab the 25,000. Guess what? You're going to probably have a little more brain clarity. You're going to have a little bit more relaxed mood, and it helps you to focus and to concentrate. Because one of the biggest detriments when you're under a stressful situation, when you're trying to perform in any situation, is the fact that you allow that monkey mind, as you would put it, or you allow that inside stressor where your body's saying, I don't have enough of this, I don't have enough of that, and you're getting all that craziness that's in your body. This product could actually very significantly help you to kind of quell that down, to allow you to focus better if it's a mental task you're trying to do, or to allow you to refocus and redirect your daily energy so that you can do more. I mean, there's just so many different ways that that balance of your body, and the IGF-1 being so critical for helping to achieve that balance can help you.
That's right. And you know what? It's like this. What we've noticed is with people is it stops brain burn. It actually stops the brain because anxiety and stress, we know, dehydrates and actually can cause inflammation and scar tissue formation in the brain. And as long as the brain has energy to work off of, then it's not working off itself and depleting itself.
Right. So one of the big things that I see in chronic patients, whether it's a chronic infectious disease, even malignancies, is that you eventually get into what's called an catabolic state or a hypermetabolic state. Basically, you're breaking yourself down for that energy because you're not getting it from proper breakdown of normal foods. Like, in other words, your diet could be bad, or your system is so inflamed that you're not absorbing or you're not utilizing those nutrients that you're trying to take in. And so for the body to maintain its normal status, again, that's what everything tries to do in your body. It changes itself to try to maintain that status. Sometimes those changes aren't so good. And one of the things that it can do that's bad is to start increasing your metabolism to the point that you don't just break down fat. If anything, you start to break down muscle, for instance. You start to break down, as you mentioned, some even neurologic tissue. There's all kinds of things that can happen in a bad way when you are in these hypermetabolic or, well, we can even say hyper-inflammatory states. Right. So the IGF-1, it's great for that because it modulates, in the case of a hyper-inflammatory state, it modulates your immune system to be more effective against, say, infectious diseases, microorganisms. It helps the immune system to then modulate down things like excessive inflammatory markers like interleukins, for instance. And by that combination, reducing that inflammation, directing that immune system to go after things that created that inflammation is the key to success, where you turn around and you can then start letting that body wind down from that inflammation. That hypermetabolic state starts to wind itself down. So you stop breaking yourself down and you start bringing yourself back to where you can start repairing things.
Yeah, if I can say two things. First thing is, we have so many people coming, and around the age of late 60s, maybe into 70s, they go, I'm losing more weight than I want. And I go, you're not losing weight, you're losing muscle. And the only reason why you're losing muscle is you have more inflammation than your body can handle. So, there's not enough clean, pure, high vibrational nutrition coming in to keep that balance, to keep that alignment. So now you're breaking down your muscle for the amino acids, okay, to help to buffer down this fire. So of course we put them into a perfect day consultation. That's going to help if we help them with their eating, drinking, and thinking. But the reality is it's all about the inflammation. And I've said this for 25 years. that if you can reduce the infection, okay, and you can reduce the inflammation, then you can stop any type of mutation, whether it's just the cell becoming disorganized or the cell morphing into something more dangerous. So we know, and I've seen it, that inflammation drops as soon as you start using, okay, but I still don't understand the chemistry of this part, so if you can help me out. Why does inflammation drop in our patients, clients, when they start using the IGF-1? What is it, does it create more energy for the mitochondria to start spinning properly, to make the ATP and to actually create the energy that then says, okay, we're out of trouble here? Or what's doing it?
So you got a lot of mechanisms. I kind of alluded to the whole fact that as you've already started to break down that thing that's attacking our body, whatever, if it's a microorganism, a toxin, or whatever, if the IGF-1 helps the body establish a better means to metabolize those things by stabilizing.
Okay.
That's very helpful. But I think the three big steps in anybody with a chronic disease is you got to detox, which is you're doc of detox. You're awesome. I love you. And we do that in our clinic. We do a lot of detoxification with our patients before we use our primary methodologies to help their immune system to grow, because we focus mostly on the immune system, building it up to go after bad things. And then in that token, then following that, we want to help build the body up again. So very much what you're saying is it's a whole process of things. The IGF-1 serves a major role in that rebuilding process, because it helps to, again, rebalance a lot of things. And by rebalancing all those various things we've mentioned, your energy production from your ATP and your mitochondria and all these things actually will be enhanced, because those systems are no longer under the stress. So I've had nightmares about this, remembering things like the Krebs cycle when I was an undergraduate and all these things in chemistry. I see you smiled on that one too. But if you remember, the production of energy in the human body actually can go along various pathways. And, the Krebs is probably one of the most effective means, but you can be pushed into other pathways where you're much less effective in producing energy. And that's because of the inflammatory stuff, the toxins, the infections, whatever. And having our ability to detox those, removing those things, or even treating them and removing those things, and then promoting a more normal status in the cell, and even in the subcellular organelles like the mitochondria, yes, you will have a much more efficient production of energy.
So there, you just said one of the most important things, and one of the most important things that I know that's going on here, and that's this. Okay, so sometimes calling myself the Doc of Detox is kind of good, and it's also not so good, because you can detox too much. And the reality is a lot of people are into the detox because whether they feel mentally dirty or they feel physically dirty, because that's what toxins are, okay? We don't want to take it too far. Like, I'll have people doing like the ultimate coffee enema, or they'll be doing some type of purging, but it's, okay, now let's stop the purging here. And that's where the IGF really comes to take effect, because it's not good enough to detoxify the body, reducing the infection, reducing the inflammation, but now we need the cellular restoration. And that's where a lot of programs fail, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, it's that three-step process. You got to detox, you got to treat, and then rejuvenate, or bring those processes back into balance, is what I like to call it. And because without doing that, you are taking away a critical factor. Maybe you'll get better, because maybe you still have enough factors to do so. I mean, folks I see who are younger obviously have their own IGF that's producing at a higher rate than folks who are a little older. But the bottom line is, why would you not want to enhance that ability? I mean, why would you not, being in Nevada, I'll use the term, why not hedge your bet for success? Let's make this happen. Let's promote our body to the point where, we give ourselves the highest chance of success to bring ourselves back to the best that we can be. And so anybody, I would tell you, when they're in these kind of situations, obviously you work with somebody bona fide who can help you to detox and treat things properly. But when in conjunction with that, it is always a good thing to bring something like the IGF one on board, simply because of the growth matrix itself has so many different things that help us to bring ourselves into balance that, frankly, I'm going to just say it. I think if you'd be kind of foolish not to have that on board. I think it's that important to help bring you back to the point of the maximal success.
Yeah, and everybody, if we can make this really clear, like IGF-1 is something that you would take on a daily basis. If you stop taking it, within a few days, you would not feel the actual effects from it. So it's like, hey, if I work out for like 6 months really hard, do I ever have to do it again? If I eat right for 6 months, do I ever have to do that again? If I drink enough water for 6 months, do I have to do it again? So understand something. You may want to try it and then get into it. And the reality is I want the edge. I want the edge as far as myself. I think anybody who knows me or even watches my shows knows that I know one thing for sure. Energy is life. Life is energy. And without energy, there is no life. And the reality is I want to be able to tap into abundant energy at all times. And and everything in its balance, but I say, look at if I can just be able to take my metabolism back to where it was when I was younger, then the reality is I'm not really worried about the pounds, because we all know one thing, that we're either going to have weight loss when the metabolism goes out of order, or we're going to have weight gain and then it doesn't want to leave, or we have weight loss and it doesn't want to come back on. And that's where the IGF-1 really can help with that as well, right?
Absolutely. I mean, again, we're basically talking growth factors, hormones, and all these different things we consider the endocrine part of our body. And what really occurs is that, unfortunately, we call it healthy aging. I guess we don't like calling it anti-aging anymore, but the whole point is that healthy aging really involves maintaining levels of critical factors in your body, growth factors, hormones, etc., that will keep you in the status that you were in the age where I guess you would consider your prime. In me, it might have been like back in my 30s, okay? But I wouldn't mind going back to my early 20s. I wouldn't behave the way I used to, but anyway, but the point is that,
thank God.
But the point is that I like to feel that way again, and there is a potential you can do that. And the whole point is that these things that you have in your body, unfortunately, as you age, you just don't make as much of them anymore, and you do have to have these on board. And it is a commitment to a new lifestyle. It's a commitment to utilizing this product as part of that new lifestyle to promote the optimal health. And again, there's we really have never seen any really negative side effects with this. But at the same time, if you were to stop utilizing the product, you may see some of those gains go away, because there's parts of your body that need and just can't make these growth factors as much anymore, and you do need that extra oomph, so to speak, to achieve what you're looking for.
Yeah, I absolutely know that I am growing in age, but I don't have to grow old. So that's the reality there, and my lifestyle is built around that. Even though I put out more than an average so-called person, right? I don't have to be, at the end of the day, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, just leave me alone, I need to get my rest, okay? Can we talk about, can we also talk about the long jack? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
The long jack actually is the IGF-1. It does have the various herbs in the long jack, which improve, frankly, male performance. And because of the delivery system, I mean, long jack's been out there in various products. You can find all these things on Amazon. I look at all these things going, do they really work sometimes? Because can you deliver? And this is the critical part with the IGF, the growth factors, and even the long jack that's added there, is that it needs to be delivered into that bloodstream so it has the best effect for your body.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's in the bottle. It's got to get into the cell.
Well,
right?
Even if it goes in your stomach and through your intestines, are you really absorbing it? Or does your system, your digestive system, does it break it down? We know for the fact that with the IGF-1 and the growth factors in there, that the stomach acid, the digestive enzymes, are actually disastrous against them. It's really basically going to destroy most of these growth factors, including the IGF-1, before they can get in your bloodstream. Hence why it's so important for the delivery system of these products, which is a liposomal, fat-based delivery system, to allow for these things to absorb under your tongue. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stick my tongue out there. But
It's okay. It was a good-looking tongue. It's all right.
Thank you. But the point is, people probably know, if you've ever had a relative with chest pains, that you take nitroglycerin, not swallowing it, but under your tongue. Why? Because we have these capillary beds under the tongue that actually are ultra absorbent, and they'll bring things in there. And the nitroglycerin can then be, which is a very potent vasodilator. It makes your blood vessels get bigger. It could actually take away angina or chest pain in people if you can get enough medication there as quickly as you can, and obviously not in the excessive dose, because otherwise it'd be other problems. But the little nitroglycerin pills that you see people take for chest pain, they are designed to be under the tongue,
right.
Not swallowed. So taking this premise, if we can take the growth factors, utilizing that same entry route, we have demonstrated in my clinic, actually did a study on this, measuring serum levels of somebody before they took these products, and then within various times, 15, I think half an hour and 45 minutes afterwards, we did show a spike of the levels of IGF-1 in particular, and we showed that it quickly diminishes in the serum, or I'm sorry, in the blood, because it's utilized so quickly. But if it doesn't get into the bloodstream, it's not going to help you. And it's the same thing with the long jack and the herbals. If you can get them in there, they're going to be that much more effective for whatever part of the body that you're looking for going. So again, the long jack product specifically is something that not only gives you that increased, all the benefits of the IGF-1 product already, but especially it pushes you for the increased energy and stamina, increased performance from when you're going to be intimate with somebody.
Absolutely. And as far as the long jack goes, it's also beneficial. I know it's more beneficial for males, but we have it in the product, and females can take this product as well, and it's beneficial for them too. It has no negative, right?
Right. There's absolutely no negativity that I know of.
So just understand, everybody, that our product can be taken male or female, and it's a positive action product for both sexes. Okay? All right? Now, can you check, Gad, to make sure why I'm echoing sometimes, please? Okay? And we're going to be answering these questions at the end of our questionnaire, the questions that I'm asking Dr. Fong, everyone. Okay, so what are some of the other health benefits, Dr. Fong, that we can talk about here?
Well, I want to kind of bring it back to what we do in our clinic. Again, our clinic, before COVID, our clinic really was treating people with a lot of these long-term chronic issues that a lot of people wouldn't be able to do much for or couldn't really identify. And we talk in things like you mentioned earlier, some of the autoimmune diseases. We've treated a lot of lupus, rheumatoid arthritis. We even treated folks with things like MS, ALS. And a lot of the success that we garnered, again, is this philosophy we have that we just don't stop at, here's your diagnosis and here's your pill or here's your shot or whatever, your infusion. We take that and we go deeper. We look at things that are underlying causes, and we find that we had notoriety for being a Lyme disease clinic simply because we did find Lyme disease at the heart of a lot of people's problems. But we look at things like metal toxicity, mold toxins. We look at chemical sensitivities. One everybody forgets about, food sensitivities. Really, I can't tell you that there would be a single person in this world that does not have some reactivity to something that they've eaten.
Right.
And at some point, we don't realize that it's not just about allergies to food. True food allergies trigger histaminic responses. That's the thing that gives you rashes, to choke your throat off. But food sensitivities can come in a large variety of ways, and some of these are delayed hypersensitivities, where when you eat something, your immune system, which is very involved in the intestine, by the way, is reacting to stuff in there, creating a certain level of inflammation. That inflammation if it's bad enough, can translate out into through the bloodstream, via these capillary beds,
Right.
trigger various neurochemical imbalances in the body, whereby then that translates into, if you have a condition, it typically translates into worsening symptoms. It can trigger any other, a number of things, including a sudden lack of energy after you eat. It can trigger various things like people, like I said earlier, if they have symptoms like pain, they can actually get worse. Sometimes they get brain fog. Again, these are all things that we want to look at. And as we start to address those things, and then we treat those various things, we start taking away, as I said earlier, the really bad effects, or the triggers of all these bad things in the body. But it doesn't mean that the body specifically comes back around. So even during treatment, in a number of cases, I've actually started a deer antler velvet IGF product, such as what we're talking about, to help the patients modulate their immune functions. A lot of times that helps to bring us to the forefront that, and again, we deal with a lot of.
If I can say this, the IGF doesn't just kickstart the immune, but it also helps it to go at a proper rhythm and then get its pace again, because everything is about harmony, and then doing it long enough and strong enough that we have a pattern. It's like most people don't realize that autoimmune disease means that the immune system is attacking itself because it's out of control. It's like a computer program that went AWOL, and every time you go to run the program, you come out with the wrong answers, or it's corrupted. So the immune system becomes corrupted due to the infection, inflammation, and being overburdened for too long a time. So now you need something you need energy and consistency to create the new pattern for it to go back into its proper defense-making system. That's it.
Right. And again, the IGF-1 is very well known to do that. Again, it's modulating the immune system so that it's more effective against those things that we needs to be against. In other words, we want to create the right inflammation against the bacteria, the viruses, parasites, whatever that we're going after. But we don't want to have an excessive level of release of inflammatory cytokines, and it helps to modulate all that so there's a more balanced response to these various things in your body. And so again, the IGF-1 plays a very big role in that.
Yeah. So calming things down and saying, calm down, okay? The emergency alarm was on too long, too strong, and you're overdoing it. Please, just calm down.
And another way of thinking about it, it's kind of like the traffic cop. Okay, so it's saying, hey, immune system, okay, this is all jammed up over here. Let's direct you in this direction. That's where you need to go kill bad guys. And at the same time, let's decongest this side, not pushing more traffic down that road, so to speak. And then that brings down the bad guy, the excessive inflammatory stuff.
Beautiful. So, Dr. Fong, can you talk about the liposomal delivery system that you were talking about?
Yes. So liposomal delivery systems, they're fat-based. It means that what we're trying to deliver, which are the molecules of these growth factors, are encased in these lipid or fat-based molecules, which then allow for much more readily absorption, especially under the tongue, and ultimately into the bloodstream. So it's designed to more rapidly deliver any given thing, in this case the growth factors, into the bloodstream, so that you don't have that interference. You don't have to take a shot or an IV, and yet you get that same ability to deliver it almost as quickly as an IV, for instance, and then not have to put certain things that are sensitive to the stomach and the intestinal tract, which sometimes doesn't even absorb it at all. You don't have to put them through all that danger of being destroyed there as well.
Very good. And just so everybody knows, we used to have a product that we used to sell called ATP, another one called Pineal and Divine Vine. They were a Life Crystal product. Well, this outranks that any day. And now the ATP used to hold under a tongue. Now when I do my IGF and I do it and I put it under my tongue, I hold it until my mouth actually fills up with water. because I know that I've gotten all that enzymatic effect in there, and you've got the best absorption. You can hold it, everyone, for like a minute to 2 minutes, but the longer you hold it, the better it's going to work. The more you're going to feel this, and it's going to go into your system a lot better. So I want everybody to realize that. So just make sure that when you take it, you don't feel like you have to talk to somebody right away. That you can actually just keep calm and hold it in there. And when you start to, your mouth starts to saliva, build up all that saliva, then you know that you've emulsified it and you've taken your product in and you've got your money's worth, right?
Absolutely. I do the same thing. I'll take my drops under my tongue, and then I hold it in there, and I'm trying to put my kids to bed, and they make fun of me every night now. It's just kind of funny. They're like, "Hey, Dad, say something." You know, I'm sitting there holding it in my mouth, going like this. And I mean, but you're absolutely right. When you start filling up with saliva, the reason that's there is that your body is not only trying to digest anything that comes in your mouth, but as you absorb product, you're making actually a little bit of room for more stuff to come in there. So the less you taste the product, it means the more it's already absorbed.
That's right. You know, it's like, believe it or not, digestion without teeth, okay? But the real teeth is the enzymes that are going in and helping to prepare this to be delivered in a proper way. And you're also diluting it down so you take it in even nicer, okay? You know, it's like I told somebody the other day, I said, you know, you can put it in and then just swallow it fairly quick, but the reality is if you were going to water your grass and you're going to water it with the same amount of water, should you sprinkle it or just pour it all on? So just see if you can just hold on to it longer and allow it to assimilate better. So here's the one that I want to talk about. What makes our IGF-1 different than all the other products on the market? And not to put any other product down, that's not what this is about, okay? I just want people to understand that I know we talked about the delivery system, but the purity of it, if you could just talk a little bit about it. We don't have to talk a long time, but I want people to understand that we've done the best that we can to get you the best product, okay?
So this particular product from the manufacturer, who I know very well, is each and every batch is actually tested to actually assure that the amount that you're stating on the bottle is exactly what you're getting.
Right.
In other words, the 25,000 is 25,000, sometimes a bit more, but not much.
Right.
The 300,000 has 300,000 in there. At one point, the Neutronics Labs, who's the primary manufacturer, it was the only one actually guaranteeing the amount that's actually in each bottle, and so the purity is there. The deer that this is derived from are from New Zealand. They're organically fed. They're allowed to, in other words, they go out and they actually go out on the plains and they graze on grass that's never been treated with pesticides, other toxic chemicals. And so there's another grade of purity, and that's the only place that Neutronics will get their raw material from is from New Zealand deer. And so again, there's all these other extra steps that this manufacturer actually takes to make sure that this product is not only pure, but it is it's going to be the most effective and as strong as we can get it.
And I make this really clear too, that the deer are just loved, respected. They are so cared for, and they get everything they want. They're like little kings and queens, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, from what I know, the deer are very much essentially pampered and taken care of very well. Like I said, when the harvest time of the antlers, they're just simply tranquilized. The deer, they're anesthetized. The antlers are removed, and they're allowed to heal properly. And the deer are taken care of, during and after this process, and then ultimately they can grow another rack again in the following year.
Fine, that's great. So we already talked that, well, let me just ask this. Just so people understand, can someone overdose on insulin-like growth factor or one, or have other potential harmful side effects from this? I know we talked about it, but I just want to really put this to bed, because people think, oh my God, I don't want to take human growth hormone. Oh my gosh, I don't want that imbalance, or I don't want to take this product if it's going to if I have like a hormonal imbalance, or if I'm taking bioidentical hormones, or I have a cancer-driven hormonal system going on. So I just want people to understand that this product does not go in there and create any problems of any of these situations.
So you're absolutely right. Again, although the product is called IGF-1, IGF-1 is the main constituent, but again, it is a complete growth matrix that comes from the deer antler. So there is a difference there, because taking pure IGF-1, there is a potential danger of uncontrolled cell growth and unfortunately abnormal cell growth, which can lead to things like malignancy. But when you actually take the full product that comes from the deer antler, there are other growth factors which modulate and prevent the out of control cell growth that comes from that. So I like to put that one to bed, because in all the years that this product's been used, the deer antler velvet product, we've never seen anybody have an increase of any statistical risk for cancers of any sort. To give you another example, to think about how long ago this thing's been around for 2,500 years. I mean, in this type of preparation, like I talked about 30 years, but the ancient Chinese knew about this. In fact, traditional Chinese medicine uses deer antler as a constituent of the many mixtures of the herbals that they grind together in the mortar pestle thing that you see in an herbal shop, right. Because of all the qualities we spoke of. The deer antler, which has the IGF-1 in it, is the thing that helps to basically rebuild everything, and the other herbals that are added to it are things that are meant to specifically address, like, say you got runny nose, sore throat, whatever. And if you've ever gone into a Chinese herbalist shop, you'll see that they have a freeze-dried antler sitting in a glass case normally, and they take the open end and they'll take and they'll scrape that off, and then and make it a powder, and they combine all the other stuff with it. So again, this has been going on for like 2,500 plus years. So there's a huge track record of safety and understanding with this stuff. Again, all these other things, again, because it is a complete growth matrix, not just the IGF-1 itself.
A complete growth matrix. Does everybody get that? You know, it's like eating a whole plant-based diet. You know, not taking vitamin A, C, B, D, E. It's called a whole, it's whole, right? So when you have it in its whole, then you're not playing the mad scientist.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm saying, because all the other things help to balance it out. Because as you get the beneficial effects from the IGF-1 and the other growth factors, you actually mitigate a lot of the other potential harmful side effects that everybody keeps worrying about.
Isn't that something? So everybody just know this, a little bit of information can be dangerous. And understand this, that if there was, with a product like this, with this kind of potential, if there was anything dangerous about it, trust me, the FDA would have been already on our backs and up right inside. So let's talk about, I'm going to talk about something else in a second, but I just want to mention this. Some of the top athletes in the world, and even Olympians, they utilize this product, correct?
Yes, actually, it's been proven across the board, specifically with the IGF-1, that's the main component, that it enhances performance. And again, I hate using that term, because here in the United States, we go, oh, performance enhancers, there got to be steroids, there got to be all these harmful things. And they're like, no, this is not what we're talking about. This is something that naturally takes you and gives you the ability to be the maximal that you can be, and not really beyond it. We're not trying to create the Incredible Hulk here, and I'm not trying to jump on a copyright or anything, so forgive me, Marvel, for using that term, but the whole point is we're trying to create somebody who can be the best that they can be within the confines of how they're designed. So that's what IGF-1 does. It doesn't make you a steroid monster junkie that, you know, looks like that, you know, that looks like that you've got the bumps, as to quote an old movie. But I mean, but it can help you enhance. And if you want to train to that level, yeah, it's going to help you to get there. Because get this, when you work out, how do you build muscle? Well, you basically stress and damage the muscle, so the body builds more muscle on top of it after it repairs it, right? So in the case of the IGF-1, you're doing the same thing. You're working out, you're stressing everything else, and here we go. I'm going to enhance the ability to repair the muscles. That's this growth factor. Hey, now as the body is in response to that, trying to build more, I can bring factors in there. The amino acids get in there a lot better. I can metabolize fat to help build the muscles instead of just sugar. So I'm going to burn my fat away. Then obviously the growth factor itself stimulates the fibers of the muscle to grow. So what does that translate into? Well, it translates into a heck of a lot more performance. And of course, as you know, Daryl, there's different kinds of muscle fibers. It's going to increase your endurance, and then ultimately, overall, every single factor that's related to whatever you're trying to perform in is going to be enhanced or increased, because that's basically what it does. But a natural byproduct of you being able to develop that much effectively in a safe manner, a natural manner, is going to result in gains in performance. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, elasticity, longevity of the muscle, restoring of the muscle quicker, especially if you work down, if you break muscle down to build muscle up. But the reality is what you're really getting at is we're talking about a lean, keen muscle machine. We're talking about you not losing that weight. When you say you're losing weight, when it's not weight, it's muscle. Because believe it or not, it's just the way it is, guys. As you get older, you get more infected and more inflamed unless you know how to create the perfect day in a nutritional detox way. And that's it. The majority of the population right now, there's a stat, and that stat is 92% of the population has an autoimmune disease, whether we like it or not. So the majority rules here, and we think that that's called health, and we think that that's called normal, and it's not. Can we talk about something else here? What about IGF-1 in regards to infectious diseases, doctor?
So I'm going to tell you again, we kind of touched on it already.
A little bit, but it's an important topic, because most people have an inner terrain that has become a swamp, right? And when you have a swamp, you get bugs you don't want, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I was taught in medical school this tenet called Occam's razor. For every set of symptoms, there's only one diagnosis or cause. In being in clinical practice almost over almost 21 years now, I found that that's probably not true. In that I find that in a lot of cases, you got you got right upper quadrant pain, you got a fever, and it hurts when you eat fatty foods. Yeah, your gallbladder's got a problem. Okay, I get that. But when we have all these chronic things that nobody can seem to put a finger on the underlying cause, well, guess what, guys? It's probably not one underlying cause, but like everything you said, Daryl, as we get older, unfortunately, we just collect more and more stuff that's in our bodies, whether infectious diseases, toxins, or whatever. They all are things that build up in our bodies. And so when we come to infectious diseases, specifically the ones that are more chronic in the system, and I mentioned before things like Lyme disease, but the whole point is, again, the IGF-1 specifically is designed to modulate that immune system. It increases the ability to kill the microorganisms by focusing the immune system on there. It increases various types of cells in there to help with direct killing action. At the same time, the other factors in this product in particular help to modulate the immune system so that excessive inflammatory responses, like the release of excessive inflammatory cytokines, is actually modulated. So it's only directed at the thing we want it directed at. It's not going to be just throughout the whole body, like you said, and going, oh, okay, let's just break down these tissues while we're at it. We want to go kill bad guys, and that's really what we want to restrict this to, and not let it just get kind of out of control. And the IGF-1 does that. And of course, most importantly, as it's doing that, and the body has a chance to start repairing and rejuvenating, if you will, those tissues, the IGF-1 obviously product is a complete set of growth factors that's going to go in there and repair those various tissues.
Okay, so now that we're talking about that, can we talk about in relationship to IGF-1 supporting the body in the case of COVID-19? Is that okay?
I'm happy to comment on that. I would say that although there's not any good studies to support it, I would definitely say that the IGF-1 product is an excellent means to help people recover, especially after COVID. It can actually play a role in helping to build up their natural immunity to prevent COVID. But again, people who have had COVID, it's all about, guess what? Inflammation again. It's not about, it's not just about the virus and, hey, it's like a cold or something in my respiratory tract, because eventually it's about the immune response. And in the case of COVID, an excessive immune response, which was killing people, that was causing the problems. Again, the IGF-1 not only modulates that inflammatory response to kind of calm down and help to modulate that immune system back into a proper direction. But more importantly, it's putting the growth factors in there to allow for those tissues, which themselves, if they're too damaged, believe it or not, are actually part of this vicious cycle of keeping that inflammation going. So as we repair tissues, it allows the inflammation even to further go down. So all these tenets, put them together, and yes, there's an extremely high potential that the IGF-1 products can very well help after COVID, and even on a daily basis using it for our bodies. It helps to build up that immune system so that we can actually turn around and have a better innate defense. So we have a better barrier, so to speak, through our immune system, that we will not actually allow that virus, hopefully, to get as big of a foothold in our system.
Thank you. So I'm going to touch on this just a little bit more because it's a big topic and we know it. I mean, you know as well as I do in your practice, hormones are brought up all the time now. And, you know, I believe that when we try to balance the hormones without going in and getting rid of the inflammation and infection, then it becomes a nightmare. So that's that. But I just want to touch on it again and not talk about how it's helpful, but how does it help in balancing the hormones. Again, it's going in and creating what? Less inflammation, right? And helping to regulate the immune system to work better. Is that it, or is there other things?
Well, there's other factors. Those are very important because external factors really affect our ability to secrete various hormones. And besides aging, or healthy aging, whether it's healthy aging or not, as we grow older, those tissues do have a decreased ability to make hormones. But it's not just about that. There's a whole complicated thing when we talk about endocrinology.
Right.
Where there's a little gland, if you can imagine, where my two fingers meet in my inside my head here. There's a pea-sized gland called the pituitary gland that's in charge of sending hormones to the various secreting organs to make them make more hormones. And one of the things that we know that the IGF-1 products do is that they increase the secretion from the pituitary gland of luteinizing hormone, or LH. That actually can stimulate increased production of testosterone in men and estrogen in females. And by definition, this is what we monitor for. And over time, you see these numbers actually go up because the body is trying to put this out there to force those organs to secrete more. So as we get older, we see LH and in particular FSH in females in particular start to rise. And unfortunately, those are markers of menopause at that point. In other words, the pituitary gland's getting a feedback. It's saying, hey, we don't have enough of the stuff here, the estrogen, for instance. So we keep trying to put out the stimulation hormone, and that number increases because we don't seem to be getting a response from, in this case, the ovaries to make more estrogen, and that number continues to rise, and eventually it rises to such a point that we that's one of the markers of saying, hey, that's actually menopause at that point. So the IGF-1 stimulates the a body to try to put out more of the hormones, but unfortunately at a certain point you may actually still need a hormonal replacement because simply your body can't produce it from those secreting organs anymore.
All right, so let's move on to another topic that I think is really interesting, and it's a big one, and we can call it heart disease, but let's just pull it back a little bit and let's call it how does it work with plaque within the arteries?
So it's really interesting is that the IGF-1 actually has been shown in various studies to diminish basically plaque, and it plays a role probably through everything from the immune system to these what we call these macrophages, things that go around and actually nibble on things and break things down. So we've seen an increased propensity of those macrophages under the stimulation of the IGF-1 specifically to be more active in breaking things down. And there was a recent, a relatively recent study that talked specifically about that from this prestigious university that said, and they demonstrated in mice how these plaques were being broken down, and they were measuring these things. And again, it showed a clear-cut diminishment of the amount of plaque in a group of mice that got the IGF-1 versus a group of mice that did not have that same stimulation.
Great. Okay, so basically, let's just, in a little bit more like layman's terms, it helps to energize the Pac-Man that go in to help to clean up the plaque, right? So
that's the mechanism that was proposed by the researchers, and again, that actually seems to be panning out. And again, if you do have these growth factors in there, there's other things that actually help, because not only is it about plaque and blocking the blood vessels, but the blood vessels themselves, as they get damaged, that's how plaque forms. And so if we have things like the various endothelial growth factors, which are things that may actually help blood vessels to grow, vasogenic growth factors as well, these are things that actually help to not only maintain the cytoskeleton and the various components of the blood vessels, but they protect that lining and strengthen and maintain that lining on the intima, which is the inside of the blood vessels, that if it does not get damaged, it's really hard to start forming plaque, because normally you get that inner lining, it gets a little crack in it. Well, your body thinks you're bleeding, so you start making a clot there. If the clot builds up big enough, then you start, it stays there long enough, then you start building up calcium around the clot, and that's how plaques form. And so if we can actually maintain that inner lining of the blood vessels, then we decrease the numbers of tears, for instance, which is really the beginnings of all clot. I'm sorry, of the plaque, really, so clot too.
And the thing is what people do not understand. We have a cardiovascular bed here. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's worth $250,000. But this thing, we will get people come to us that have a blockage anywhere around 90 to 95%. And, you know, they're told that you need to have surgery. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't do it, but if they didn't want to do it and they get on a perfect day diet, they get on the cardiovascular bed and do some of the things we've been talking about here throughout here, this will actually develop a whole new set of arteries in the heart within 6 weeks. But we also clean out those arteries. So what I'm going to say is that what people don't get is that most times heart attacks and even strokes are caused because of the clotting of trying to clot or create plaque and create the clot from the crack in the artery. So by doing the IGF-1 and, of course, a better diet and a better lifestyle, you never even have to enter into that road.
And that's exactly it. The oldest expression in medicine is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? So if we keep ourselves healthy and we stay away from these things, we don't have to go back in there and try to correct them. And again, all these things that are there, everything that you can do, whether or not it gives you that end result that you really are seeking, it's still going to be very helpful. And so it's all about the whole picture. It's not just about one factor or another. As you mentioned, Daryl, the diet is a huge role. You've got these other potential enzymes that help to eat away at the plaque itself. You've got again, this mechanism through this whole product of the IGF-1 that helps to maintain the walls. All these different factors play a huge role. Whether you don't have plaque yet, you have some plaque, or even if you've had a heart attack with a plaque, let's use this stuff together. Even if your cardiologist has medicine and you want to take it, it can be utilized together to actually maintain your health. Because there's very few things that are going to interact negatively here.
Yeah, I talked to a prominent heart surgeon, and he actually said that you know, the cholesterol is like candle wax, that's scooping up the crack, and the calcium comes along to try to wall things off. And he says a lot of times if it continues and the calcium cracks, it can actually create the tear to cause the blood clot to actually create the heart attack.
And one of the biggest things about heart attacks, it's not that the plaque just slowly builds up and shuts off your blood vessel, although that does happen.
But that's not the case usually.
Yeah, usually the case, like 95% of the time, a piece of the plaque breaks off and goes from a bigger blood vessel to a smaller one, which is more critically able to be jammed up. And then that whole area beyond that has no blood flow. That area dies, and that's what a heart attack is.
Boom.
Want to do is basically make sure that you can you know, not have to go through that. Like we said, we have all these things to keep the intima healthy. If you do have a plaque, we're trying not to form more plaque on top of it, which can then become unstable plaque, and those are the ones that actually break off and can go down those blood vessels and cause a problem.
And you know as well as I do that if somebody gets on a whole plant-based diet and they do proper detox, they never have to worry about a piece of plaque breaking off, because the body doesn't function like that. It actually will clean the plaque off the arterial walls with never any danger at all. It's when you are continually on the same diet and the same lifestyle that created the plaque, and you just never ever get into a whole plant-based, proper detoxification, energetic diet that creates the balance in the cells, correct?
Yeah, I mean, as a physician, I've always been trained never to say anything's absolute, but at the same time, all the things you've spoken of, yeah, I mean, there's plenty of clinical evidence to support.
I was just going to say I agree. I don't know if anything's absolute.
I mean, the bottom line is that you always want to make sure that you do everything possible on your side, because, you know, I think I speak for all doctors when I say we really hate it when somebody shows up and they've never taken care of themselves, and they keep coming back in. They don't want to take care of themselves, and we're watching them go downhill. It's not that we're being, you know, negative or vindictive, saying, oh, it's so and so, yeah, just let them die or something. No, it's not that. It's like, come on, dude. Take charge of your life. Stop drinking a fifth every day. Stop smoking 3 packs of cigarettes every day. And then, you know, I mean, some of these people come sometimes in the ER and they've got their, I remember one experience I had where they showed up. I had to admit a patient that had the grease from the hamburger on him, and he just had a heart attack. I mean, you know, from you know, I mean, his hands were literally greasy from some huge burger he had eaten when he was having a heart attack. And so it's like, you got to take charge. I mean, it's, yeah, the modern medicine's great. We have all kinds of ways of opening blood vessels and everything else. But why do you want to go through that? Why do you want to have somebody go up in your groin, take a catheter, go in your heart, put a stent in there, or have a surgeon open you up and do a bypass surgery, when you can do a lot to prevent that, do a lot to keep, even if you already have something going on, you can keep it from potentially getting critical. So again, although there's no absolutes, you need to hedge your bet in the right direction. And it's a team effort when it comes to your health. It's not about just what the doctor can do. It's about what patients can do for themselves before they have to see a doctor. And so, I mean, I know I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but hopefully this message gets to somebody who doesn't know that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, okay, so we kind of talked on it, but how long does one need to take the Docofdetox IGF-1 to see desired effects? And I know it's kind of varied answer, but maybe you can, just because we're going to have people asking that a lot.
A lot of people that we just you know, in general, that we randomly get started on the product, we usually do see some benefits within several weeks to a month at the very, or at least. But really, the take-home message about something like this is that once you start utilizing it, you want to stay on it. You want to continue to have those benefits going down the line, simply because you're now reintroducing something that likely your body may not be producing at the level you need it to be produced at. So from that standpoint, it's really, that's the more important part, is that it's consistency. It's not about you know, taking a 2-week course of this stuff. It's probably not going to do a whole lot in just a 2-week course.
Yeah, I noticed the difference when I do the 25,000. I first started with that. I noticed the difference over time, but when I do the 300,000, I notice the difference every day, right? And I know because it's stronger, and it's not giving me overabundant energy, but it's keeping me sharp and it's keeping me strong throughout the day. You know what I mean? So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And again, like we talked about earlier, it's about dose-related responses. It's, some people shouldn't necessarily jump right into the maximum.
No, I don't. I wouldn't want anybody to actually. I would like everybody to, do the 25,000, or if you jump into the 300,000, why don't you just do like 3 drops 3 times a day, under the tongue, as long as you can. I mean, from 14 drops being the dosage that we say 3 times a day, just do 3. What's the fire? Go slow, allow your body, because remember something, and I think you'll agree with this, Dr. Fong, is that the more something will repair and the more energy it has to restore, it needs to be respected, because anything high vibrational will kick out lower vibrational things, and you don't want a detox reaction, and that will feel like a little bit of a whiplash effect, and you'll go, oh my gosh, just like my friend said, I started taking the 300,000, 14 drops 3 times a day, and I felt like I had less energy because it was kicking out toxins, and it was telling him he needed to rest and repair and relax.
Yeah, and again, that's absolutely true. We get pushed out of balance, like you said, when we have things build up in our body. I mean, if we all saw it coming, like, here's the big boogeyman that's going to make me sick, we would know to take precautions. We would know how to respond to that. But when the little boogeyman is just kind of sneaking up on you a little bit at a time, and it could be multiple boogeymans, if you will, that's something we don't realize, that's just gradually taking us down because our body is trying to readapt to those things and work around them. So a workaround, it's great in one sense, it keeps you going, but a workaround is not necessarily always beneficial because it takes you further and further out of balance ultimately. And
Right.
if you try to suddenly restore that balance too quickly, then you tend to throw things really badly off sometimes. And that's a known tenet in quite a few healing arts, including traditional Chinese medicine and a lot of energetic healing arts say the exact same thing. You don't try to correct everything in one day, because that could actually cause more harm.
Beautiful. Why don't we now go to the questions? Gad, can you please? Let's take a look. And as I'm going through them, Gad, can you pick the ones that you think we need to do? Can you scroll up a little bit so I can see it and bring it over to the side? Thank you. All right. Let me see here. Okay, Dawn says, I had an active life before Lyme. Well, Dawn, I'll let the doctor also answer this, but understand, I haven't found anyone that has not been able to turn around Lyme, and sometimes it takes longer than others, but understand it's the environment that dictates what's going to live inside the body, and it's all about energy. And I know that Lyme can drain you, so if you don't know how to energize and charge the cells up, then it's going to be a real problem, and it can be a lifetime problem. What do you think, Dr. Fong?
I absolutely agree. In all of our Lyme patients, we not only treat the Lyme, obviously we look for the co-infections, but we also look at all the other things too. There's other factors that we mentioned, molds, mycotoxins, metal toxicity, chemical sensitivities, food sensitivities. We want to give a very comprehensive picture to people, especially when they're not recovering. And also, a lot of the therapies we do specifically are designed, one in particular is a peptide that's derived from the mitochondria of chlorella that drives the immune function in the body. That's our primary treatment, actually, to actually go after, fully identify, be extremely effective against whatever's in your body, in this case Lyme, and build a long-standing immunity against it. So that alone is something that might be missing here. But on top of that, you may simply, Don, have a lot of residual inflammatory stuff that's left over from the Lyme or any of these other things that I mentioned. And the best way to to try to address this, and I invite you to come visit us at my clinic at the Sierra Integrated Medical Center, is we could actually try to work these up for you and look at all these underlying issues and correct them as we need to going forward. And then, of course, utilizing this IGF-1, we're going to modulate that immune system, help it to maximize its ability to not only kill the bad guys, but to take away unneeded inflammation that's preventing you from healing.
Great. Robin asks, is there any health issues that you wouldn't use this product with, IGF-1, Docofdetox IGF-1?
So again, I think my understanding is there specific conditions we should not use this for? Is that?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so the IGF-1 is probably helpful in just about any situation that's out there. Doctors in general are a little bit cautious about utilizing growth factors of any sort in a malignancy state, but there, in the case of this particular product, there's evidence out there that definitely suggests that it can help in the treatment of various malignancies. A dear friend of mine utilizes growth hormone specifically as part of an integrative oncology setup. But again, should you have a malignancy, which is probably about the only one I would worry about in this case, I would always run this by the primary doctor taking care of you, so that your other treatments that you're taking don't run afoul with the deer antler velvet product.
Yeah, so you might be talking about some other medication more than anything, correct?
Right. Overall, it's we want a patient to have maximal benefits. We just want to make sure that one, the primary treating doctor is aware that you're taking a product. And then, but on top of that, that there's no interference with the therapeutics from one side to the other. And again, this is where your doctor should know you better than anybody else who's going to be offering you any additional therapies. Okay, so again, this needs to be run by your primary doctor or primary oncologist in this case, if that's the issue.
Very good. Robin also asks, what's the timeline to stay on the product? Do you use as you need it, or can you just stay on it every day for the rest of your life, and would it be beneficial?
Yeah, so again, the answer to that is specifically the latter. You should probably just be consistent with this and probably plan on continuing to use it, because if it's giving you benefits, it means that there's a good chance that you're not producing any number of the growth factors, probably primarily IGF-1, in your body to the level that you are desiring for these effects. So you need to probably think about using this long term and on a regular basis.
Beautiful. Diane, would the IGF-1, Docofdetox IGF-1 help with blood pressure?
So the issue with the blood pressure is that there is there are some studies, I should say, that talk about helping with decreasing peripheral vascular resistance. That's the where your blood vessels are actually having the resistance on the outside of your heart. Now, it also works on helping the heart to be much more effective. I don't want to get overly complicated here, but there's, it's not just about how fast or how hard your heart pumps. It's about allowing it to fill and being able to contract in a uniform manner. So it helps with all those things. And again, if we kind of help break down plaque and we help to reduce that resistance from the outside, what we call peripheral vascular resistance, it can help with the blood pressure. If you are hypertensive, again, this is one of those issues you keep with working with your doctor. Don't stop meds on your own. You can add this. It's not going to ever harm anything. You can add this and see if it starts to bring your blood pressure down. But again, it's not necessarily directly meant for reducing blood pressure, but it can definitely have some beneficial effects.
Great. Robin also asks, can you please explain Long Jack a little more thorough, and what it's from and what it's going to do?
So again, the Long Jack is lack of better term, it's an herb that actually increases blood flow to the I guess the genitalia, for lack of a better term here. But when utilized in conjunction with a liposomal delivery system and the various growth factors here, it not only increases the blood flow, but the efficiency of basically for men, it would be erections. In ladies, I think that the increase of the blood flow would allow them to have better ability to have orgasms. It's
And lubrication and better lubrication in the vaginal canal for, you know what? Okay.
yeah, and I'm trying to keep this as a G-rated presentation.
Me
but,
too.
I hope that answers your question, but hopefully you get the gist of what I'm saying. It's about increasing blood flow down there and making things just work a whole lot better in the normal functioning, like you said, with lubrication, with the various conditions that are necessary for maximizing the pleasure during intercourse.
Robin, so is this okay for anyone with extreme high blood pressure? Yes, it is, but again, start off slowly with them and then just graduate it, correct?
Absolutely. Again, if you're on other medications, do not stop those medications. Just utilize this in conjunction. It's what we call complementary medicine. We're adding to the effects of something else that we may need to be on there. And the bottom line is, if it starts to work really well, then you can start to talk to your doctor saying, hey, I think my blood pressure is starting to get a little too low. If hopefully we can get to that point. And then maybe we can start thinking about coming down gradually from the pharmaceuticals, for instance. But again, no guarantees of anything, but it does have that potential benefit if used correctly.
Okay, Dawn, I'd love to lose again. So she's after losing 95 pounds and she doesn't want to lose again. After losing 95 pounds in 10 months with the first tick bite to gaining 45 pounds, I guess. I want to try it. Okay, she wants to try it and she's hoping that she can gain weight from it. Well, if you're underweight, it's going to help you go towards that of gaining weight. And if you're overweight, it's going to help you go towards losing weight. Dr. Fong, what do you think?
Yeah, actually, that's absolutely correct, because it helps them metabolize the muscles to actually burn fat for energy, so you can lose fat pounds, but you're also, on the other end, you're utilizing it to stimulate muscle growth in general, so your lean body mass should increase. Dawn, if you were looking at this after Lyme, you were in what we would call a catabolic or hypermetabolic state. You were breaking yourself down, and mostly it was muscle. So I would actually encourage you, if you're able, to increase your activity. Any physical exercise you can tolerate, start slow. Whether that, if you're in a place where you can swim, that's probably one of the best things you can do, because you're moving everything around. And then utilize the IGF-1 type products and allow that to build your muscles up. So as you build your muscles up, you're going to stabilize your weight. You're going to be able to put on more good pounds. It's going to probably increase your energy, your strength, your stamina, the whole 9 yards. So I would encourage that if you feel healthy enough to move into exercise.
Thank you, sir. Annette, so here's a question. If a woman is past menopause, how would reintroducing hormones to her body or re-stimulating estrogen production affect her? You're not reintroducing hormones to your body. Can you explain that, Dr. Fong?
Okay, so anybody who's postmenopausal, you're not making enough hormones to be, in this case, able to menstruate, be able to ovulate, that whole cycle thing. It doesn't mean that you're completely not making hormones, although I've seen that in some cases as well. As Daryl says, you're not necessarily reintroducing hormones to your body, but you're, in one essence, I hate to use the word supplement, it's not the right term, but you're trying to increase the levels of those hormones to the point where they're effective. Stimulating through the luteinizing hormone is one way to try to get those organs to actually kick off that much more of the hormone. But if you're beyond a certain point, you probably do need to have, and I emphasize the word bioidentical hormone replacement. There's a big difference between natural plant-based bioidentical hormones and the stuff you see from the pharmaceutical side, which is the synthetic estrogens, the progestins, and things like that. Those are actually, unfortunately, have an increased risk of cancer, whereas the bioidentical hormones, which are things like in the case of estrogens, estrone, estradiol, estriol, and just straight progesterone. Those things, if they're truly bioidentical, have never shown any statistical evidence long term. I think it's up to 10 or more years now in bona fide studies to actually increase your risk of cancer.
Thank you. So, Camille, approximately how long will the bottle of IGF 300,000 last if you start, as you say, 3 drops 3 times a day? Well, 14 drops 3 times a day, the bottle's going to last a month. So you can figure it out there that you're talking about one quarter to 1/5 of what you would be taking. So you're talking about it could last you 4 months. But the reality is once you start taking it, maybe you need 3 drops 3 times a day. Maybe you need 5 drops. You know, myself, I do take the 14 drops 3 times a day. But like I said, your personality becomes reality. Not everybody's going to take the same amount, and you need to go in and know that you're not harming yourself, but it's always better to go slow and gentle and find that happy point. And it really is about feeling energized and feeling happier. Believe it or not, this product does make you feel happy, because when you don't have energy, it's called depression. Okay. All right. What do you think, Dr. Fong?
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. I mean, this is something that you can kind of custom tailor to yourself. The label instructions are just kind of suggestions about where you should go. Everybody should kind of gauge this a little bit to find out what gives them that level of improvement that they're looking for, and not to necessarily have to take extra product or medication of any sort, so to speak. It's the same principle. You use the minimal effective dose in many of these cases.
Beautiful. Harvey, I wonder about type 1 diabetes, and can it be helpful?
So unfortunately, type 1 diabetes, you have a type of diabetes where the body actually destroys the ability of the pancreas to make insulin. In this particular case, the insulin-like growth factor 1, it can help to utilize existing insulin to drive the sugars, glucose in particular, into the cells. That's what insulin does. But you may have a situation where there's probably no way to actually get you off of insulin, because if it's a true type 1 diabetes, that's the pathogenesis of the disease, is that you're actually breaking down the ability to make insulin by destroying those beta islet cells in the pancreas. So is it helpful to use the product? Absolutely. So because whatever insulin you're using is going to be that much more effective. It's going to drive it so that the cells can utilize it more effectively, so that then of course your sugars would come down more. So in other words, it's a way of reducing the amount of insulin you'd have to take, but unfortunately, it's not going to be able to help you get off of insulin, from what it sounds like here.
Beautiful. Okay, so let me see here. Deborah, can I take it if I'm on estrogen hormone?
Absolutely. All it is a control mechanism to help moderate really the balances of the various hormones. It helps to try to stimulate things when they need to be stimulated. So it should not have any ill effects. If anything, it might help your body utilize that estrogen more effectively, so that you can, again, have even more benefit from it.
Debbie, will it help with menopause weight gain?
That's actually a segue to the last question. If we can actually more effectively utilize the hormones that are in our body, whether we're from hormone replacement or not, the weight gain that's due to not having enough hormones in this case could very well be much more readily resolved. So again, any weight gain, and we're going to assume that the weight gain here is unwanted weight gain of fat. The IGF-1 itself is well known, again, to transform our metabolism in our muscles to utilize a lot of that fat for energy in the muscles. So it's actually gearing our bodies to burn the fat a little bit better. So no matter how you slice it, it not only helps to balance the hormones, but it's increasing the body's propensity to want to burn the fat.
One last question, Tan. Can teenagers take it to help them out of depression?
That's a really good question, Tan. There have been some studies to suggest again, we're looking at the whole product, not just the IGF-1, but IGF-2 and the neurotropins, which are actually present in this product. They actually can help to strengthen or help to repair any potentially damaged neurologic pathways. And so if that's really the case, it also means that it's modulating the interactions and responses of those things primarily by neurotransmitter responses. So theoretically, it can help, but when we look at a real world thing from a bigger picture, not just at the one aspect of the depression and saying there's a specific mechanism. When we look at everything else, where we're having better energy in the body's metabolism is more balanced, the ability to be stronger, have less fatigue, more stamina. I think that those physical elements always play back into the emotional elements of even depression or anxiety, and they help to bring somebody out of that. So it's more for the secondary benefits, and there are potentially some primary benefits where if there's something that causes that depression that's more, say, anatomical or basically functional, that's in the nervous system or the brain, then yeah, we can start to repair those. But really, the main benefits are secondary, where everything else seems to be working a lot better, and then the body's propensity to want to be depressed tends to diminish from there.
Beautiful. Okay, the last thing is somebody's asking is, yes, if you want to go see where the product is, it's at store.docofdetox.com. And yes, it is part of the sale that's going on, and that sale goes on until next Monday. But what I'd like to do right now is I'd like Dr. Fong to just take a couple of minutes, or as long as he would like, actually. I want him to discuss about where his practice is, what his practice is, and the basic function of his medical care and what he's trying to actually accomplish with his patients.
Okay, so first off, my name again is Bruce Fong. I'm an osteopathic physician here in the United States. I basically have gone. I'm an internal medicine trained, and I have also pretty much lived most of my life with a mother and a stepfather who basically pioneered a lot of techniques, at least in this region of the country. Our philosophy has always been that not everybody fits one mold. And there's a Confucianism that's actually printed on the back of my entry wall in my office that says, no success can compensate for the premature failure of your bodies. So all my life, we've been, I've been trained, even before I went to medical school, to go ahead and understand these philosophies that we want to promote health first. But if there's something else that's there, that's illness, we need to really approach that illness and to break down that illness to its, to try to seek its whatever's really
doesn't work.
And basically, with that being said, that's translated now that I've gone through medical school into done residency.
Still talking.
I brought in a lot of the philosophies from before, and now with the internal medicine part, it makes me really have that full round knowledge. So putting that all together, it means that if you come see me, I'm not going to again stop at one diagnosis or just look for one name.
He's still gone. Yeah.
I am there to help you explore all the various underlying issues. Whether that's infectious diseases, environmental or other toxins, allergies, any number of these things, and even help to treat you at all levels of the body, physically,
I need the rest of my script.
emotionally, also
I'm
spiritual.
trying to watch your hand.
That's what we actually try to do in our clinic. And in our clinic, we really emphasize that all these treatments revolve around the immune system and helping it to be maximal in its ability to help fight and be very effective against whatever's in your body, and ultimately to then following that in detox, of course, then to help you to promote your health. And again, the IGF-1 products are a huge part of that. So if you're interested in coming to see me, I'd love to try to help you out with any of the issues. We're located in Reno, Nevada. Our medical center is known as the Sierra Integrative Medical Center. You can find us on the web at sierraintegrative.com. That's SIERRAINTEGRATIVE.com. And if you would like to just give us a phone call, we're at 775-828-5388. Again, that's 775-828-5388. And we would love to have a chance to help take care of you and bring you to the fullness of God's plan for your health.
Beautiful. I want to thank you for coming on today, and just know this, everyone, Dr. Fong will be coming on. Hopefully he'll come on at least maybe once a month, and we'll see what he's up to in his clinic. We'll talk about some of the things that maybe we're finding out with our patients with IGF-1, himself and myself, because guess what? We're all on this adventure called life. Sir, what would you like to leave everybody with?
I want to leave everybody with the fact that, again, that Confucianism comes to mind. No success can compensate for the premature failure of your bodies. Please always be an active participant in your own health. I mean, I'm always willing to be there for you to help you through what I can help you. But it's always a team effort. If everything that you can do to make yourselves better, to keep and stay away from disease, it makes my job a lot easier. And really, I want you to have the best quality of life as well. So again, the IGF-1 products is a huge way of accomplishing that goal. So otherwise, God bless you all, and thank you for giving me this time.
Thank you. And there's nothing better than having somebody on like Dr. Bruce Fong that is so well aligned and balanced. You can tell when a doctor is actually practicing what he teaches. Again, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
So everybody, if you want more information about the IGF-1, please go to our website at docofdetox.com. Just type in IGF-1. And if you want more information about what we're doing in Mexico, Ixtapa, Mexico, here at the World Healing and Training Center, just go to braveheartnation.com. Okay? And for those of you who are interested in our courses, just know that our next course is on April the 30th. Okay, that's the Whole Life Coach certification. And understand, everyone, when people come to take our certification course, you know, 30 to 40% of the people are lay people. Why do they do that? Well, they want to learn the truth about nutrition, the truth about how to master the mind, to master their body, to not remain a patient, but to become their own practitioner so that they can heal themselves and to show their family how they can do the same thing. That's what it's all about, right? We all want to help each other, but what if you had strategies and techniques that were actually programmed into you that actually caused you to not be aligned in what your purpose is, which is happiness and health, right? And prosperity. So our Whole Life Coach certification is April the 30th to May the 9th. Our Wolf non-surgical course starts on May the 11th to May the 22nd. And I will say, this is the most powerful body work. How would you like to learn a technique where we'll even back you up after you've taken our course one time, that you will be able to give a money-back guarantee to people that you work on that supposedly they need hip surgery, spinal surgery, supposedly they cannot lift their arm up. Understand, everything is a scar tissue issue or displaced calcium or crystallization. What if we taught you how to put the calcium back into the bones, okay, to have youthful bones again, okay, not like Swiss cheese? What if we taught you how to take scar tissue and bring it back into beautiful connected tissue and to melt that crystallization? Because it's all about flow, it's all about elasticity, it's all about strength, it's all about longevity. So if you're interested in our courses, go to newworldpractitioner.com or braveheartnation.com. If you're interested in coming with your family or as a couple and taking our emotional trainings or our bodywork trainings, or even coming for our pain-free pregnancy, okay, or any of them. There's 6 different trainings that we do, okay, even for athletes. And look at personaltreatmentandtraining.com, all right? And for a lot of people, especially from Canada, believe it or not, we will actually give you a letter. If you get a perfect day consult from us, or you want to come here and take one of our courses, we'll give you a letter to travel with. And believe it or not, people have used it to fly with out of Canada. I'm not saying that works. It's very rare that it works. I just had a lady fly in yesterday, and she used the letter, and she got through a Canadian airport, and they let her fly out. But most people, and I mean like 9 out of 10, are using our letters and driving across the US border and getting across the border. It basically says you're coming down here for specialized treatment and training. And we'll even personalize it for you. And that's just a $5 add-on, okay? Because when we were just saying to everyone, come get your letters, we're having 1,000 people, almost 1,000 people daily wanting letters. That's right. A lot of people want to leave Canada right now. So if you want, just go get a perfect day consult, or if you're going to be taking a course or wanting to take a course, get in touch with us and we'll give you a letter so that you can cross the border. Now, a very good friend of mine who actually owns a business called Rethink Fit, okay, Jeffrey and Mindy, they just got in 2 days ago. They had to go to the border twice. First time they got rejected, second time they went the next morning and they let them go through. Okay, so, and they said they were coming down here for 6 months of personalized health and training, all right? So remember, if you do that, then if you get a consult, the practitioner who's consulting you will actually build the letter for you and make sure you get it. Can you keep going, please? All right, and remember to join us at show.docofdetox.com so you never miss a show, okay? And also, if you wish to listen to the audio version of any of our shows, okay, you can go to iTunes, Spotify, or SoundCloud, okay? And for all our shows that are too hot for Facebook, you can go to Telegram, t.me/the Doc of Detox, or Rumble, or Bitchute, or Odyssey, or Brighton. We're on a lot of platforms. And like I said, our spring into summer sale will be on until 1 minute to midnight next Monday. It was actually supposed to be over this past Monday, but we had so many people tell us that financially they couldn't do the sale. And I've never had calls like this before. So we said, yeah, we'll let it run. So we're gonna let it run until next Monday. I wanna thank everybody for coming on today. And I'd like to finish off the show with one last thing, and that's called my Braveheart Quote, okay? I am love, I am healed, I am Braveheart. Today and every day, from the moment I rise until I gently close my eyes, I will trust, honor, respect, forgive, and totally love myself first and foremost before anyone else or anything else. So help me God. Because I am, I can, I'm healed, I'm Braveheart. God bless everyone. Have a beautiful day. You know, it's not good enough to have the most powerful courses, treatments, and training. We want to deliver to you the adventure of a lifetime that's going to last a lifetime. And I'm going to take you on a little adventure right now and show you what we are going to deliver. What are we going to deliver? We are going to deliver the authentic you, the real you, the genius inside. How would you like to become not just the master of your mind, but the master of your body, the master of your life? You know what? The most important world is your world, and we're about to show you how to create it.
Found Dr. Wolf and all his positivity and trying to reshape our way of thinking and help me be a better person, a better mom, better wife. I'm glad I found him in person in Ixtapa, Mexico.
Never limit yourself to beautiful, because that's what you are. Take a look at this beautiful place. We all deserve beauty in our life. You need to create a new program that is unlimited when it comes to things that are beautiful, things that make you happy, things that make you shine, things that make you feel excited. Let's get excited.
This guy's got something really interesting to say and he's sharing it really openly and just really not caring what other people think, and I just thought that was really empowering.
What I've learned in my life is this: to be the change you wish to be the change you wish to see, Braveheart, you have to understand you take life one step at a time.
Dr. Wolf, as many people will have seen, is very direct and straight and will take you to the edge of the cliff, as he says, and then pull you back just in time.
Never lose your focus. Never lose your dream, because you are the dream maker. It's called image, but guess what? It's your imagination. The image that you hold creates the thought that you live with. That thought creates an emotion that creates a frequency, and we know that the invisible creates the physical. I mean, that's quite obvious. So be the power that you seek, and understand something, that all your thoughts matter. And guess what? Unless you're willing to take a look at those thoughts and retrain your brain, change your personality, you'll never change your reality, and your reality could become infinite.
He's a wealth of information, and I love it.
You were created by your creator to create. So let's create something amazing together.
I found Dr. Wolf and I went, wow, here's a truth speaker. And he spoke to my soul and he spoke truth.
So tell me what you think of the destination that I came up with my imagination to hold the whole life coach certification for you. Understand something. It's all about beauty. It's all about adventure. It's all about stimulating the mind, okay? And understanding that your mind is unlimited. And that is what the Whole Life Coach certification is all about. In the Whole Life Coach certification, we are going to go deeper. We have people coming to us, professionals coming to us, from doctors to nurses to accountants to oil riggers to mothers that want to expand their life. And when they come here, they go, I need to learn to help my family, or I want to improve my business. But guess what? We get into their business. When they leave, they become the change that they wish to see, that they wish to be. They become the gift to the world, because when you can stay in the present, and you can't do that until you have unconditional love and care for yourself. And I'll tell you something right now. I have hardly even found 1 out of 1,000 practitioners or even so-called whole life coaches that can hold the present moment and own it and then give it as a gift. And this is what I'm going to give to you. And when you come here, this is where you're going to come into this room when you need to find alignment, you need to find balance, and you need to get back into your lion heart breath, because we're going to go deep into your heart and we're going to become the spark that you seek.
And actually what I really love about Dr. Wolf's teachings is that unconditional love is literally it. And then you're like, how can it be that easy? That's just silly. So, but it's really not.
Come play, come stay, come train with us today. Understand something. I know we have fear, but understand, that's just false evidence appearing real. I get it. Stick your toe in, feel the water, but then I want you to dive right in, because
How I found my Braveheart was through Daryl. He really teaches you to go within and go in through your heart and not your mind, because your heart's a lot more connected to so much more than your mind. Your mind is just so conditioned and your heart is just so open and beautiful.
you're the answer that you've been looking for. Let me teach you how to fly. What does that mean? First, love yourself, Braveheart. Let's take life in and win.
I had just lost my husband a couple of years ago. With his passing, he gave me the greatest gift to love myself. But Dr. Wolf gave me the greatest gift in understanding that.
I had a dream 3 years ago that I would live in Mexico and I would have this training center, this teaching center, this treatment center that would touch the world. Your dreams are never too big. And when they start to create a little bit of anxiety, turn them into excitement. And get excited, because this is your life.
He's the first doctor that I have encountered that has truly given me the truth, and not just half-truths, but the full truth. So it's been revolutionary for me in my healing process.
And this, my friend, when you take on the dream of all dreams, and you realize that if you stay connected to your breath, that you can have it all. Do not let anybody take your breath away. Do not let anybody steal your dream, okay? Listen, God gave you imagination. This is your sandbox of life. Take your life back. Right now, we are teaching courses to people that have come from all over the world, and the government is saying you can't travel, you can't breathe, you can't have this, you can't come together. Yes, we will. And we will do it with unconditional love for each other. And we will learn to grow. We will not judge each other. We'll observe and see where we can support each other. But at the same time, we will hold the Braveheart line, because this is the only way that we can grow. So find your roar, because you're so much more. And learn this. You are the unconditional love that you've been looking for. You are the dream maker. I can't wait to see you. We want to become that small piece of the puzzle that brings your dream together. Thank you. Let me ask you a question. What do you think it would take to turn your life around? I can tell you right now, I learned that a long time ago, what the key was. And anybody that has been able to perfect the perfect day on an emotional, physical, and spirit level knows this. The answer is massive, personal action. That's what it's going to take for you to turn your life around. And to turn your life around, you're going to have to go within if you want to change without. And that's the bottom line. And you know, people think that they can do it like with a consultation, or maybe they can do it with a telephone call or a Band-Aid or a 911 emergency, a treatment. But understand, that's not the way it is. The day that you realize that when you master your mind is the only time you're going to master your body. Forget your life. That's always going to be just random luck until you know that you must become the master of your day. From the moment you rise until you gently close your eyes, you must be the only authority for you. And if you think that getting an hour consultation is going to do it, it's not. If you think that going for therapy is going to do it, it's not. You have to submerge yourself into what we would call the personal treatment and training. And you need to do that from anywhere from 6 days to 10 days, or you need to come for my whole life coach certification, because if you don't go in deep, you'll never make changes. They say it takes 10,000 times for you to repeat something before it becomes a prominent, dominant thought. And if you understood that 70 to 90% of all your thoughts are not yours, and they say that 70% of your thoughts are toxic, tell me they're not. Take a look at the majority of the population. 92% of the population has an autoimmune disease, which means the body is attacking itself. Before that, though, the person was attacking themselves on a subconscious, unconscious level. And that, my friend, is the bottom line, and why you must take a personal treatment and training and go deep and understand how to run your life. What that means is learning how to think, how to drink, how to eat, and knowing when somebody is mistreating you, when someone is disrespecting you, because until you honor and respect yourself, no one else is going to do it. So understand, this is your life. If you want to live your passion and purpose, then you must become the master of your mind to become the master of your body so that you can become the light for your family. So please, consider this. You've got the time and you've got the money, because you're going to change the rest of your life for the rest of your life, and that's my guarantee to you.